This is Polyamory Weekly, episode 580 for September 22nd, 2019. Coming up on today's show. Should I still marry my now straight partner? That's coming up on today's show. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Minx, here with my co-host, Lustyguy.
Happy and lucky to be here as always. Hello, everybody. I hope you are having half the great time I'm having.
And as a reminder, folks, this is an adult show about super lascivious things like honesty and communication about sex in relationships. If you're under 18, please do stop listening and visit scarletteen.com.
Right now. I'm wagging my adult finger in your general direction.
Well, the thing is, we all know that anybody under 18 is not going to stop. I mean, people just do whatever the fuck they want. But that's sort of I told them to stop listening, so it's not my fault that your kid didn't listen to me.
I mean, that's all we can really do, right? The final analysis is say what we want to say, and then people are going to do what people are going to do.
And my entire podcast is tagged as explicit just to be safe, which is why, sadly, nobody in India can hear us because they do not allow any podcasts that have explicit tags. Even, by the way, if you only have one episode tagged as explicit, your podcast will not be available in India. Because I know everybody was like on the edge of their seats wondering about that.
One drop of adultness taints the entire thing, says the former porn producer. In our host chat section today, I wanted to give a shout out to another amazing sex positive activist, performer, and podcaster. I think we mentioned her on the show before, but do you folks know about the awesomeness that is Dixie De La Tour, who does body storytelling? She's been doing it for just about as long as I have been doing this podcast, like around 15 years. One of the amazing things about what Dixie is doing is that her storytelling shows, the live events, transcend storytelling. They become an experience and an event for the audience that really is kind of a special place.
It really is. She creates this wonderful safe space where people can tell about their true life experiences with sex. She's inclusive, so she makes sure to bring in people of color and trans folks, GLBTQIA. Everybody is covered in the rainbow, and all of the stories are true. Most of them are funny, a little sad, maybe heartbreaking or heartwarming, or a combination of all of those. There's very little just bragging about how much sex you had because that is so boring.
It's not really much of a story. It
isn't much of a story. I had sex. I was great. There you go. I had sex again. I was great. But she is an amazing storytelling coach. I mean, I've told a body story before. I've told a couple, actually. And while I'm comfortable on mic and I'm comfortable in front of people, I'm generally not comfortable speaking without any type of visual aids. I usually need either note cards or an outline printed on the podium or slides or something just to make sure that I cover what I plan to cover in the allotted amount of time. But body storytelling does not allow any type of notes. Everything is told from memory, but she also does coaching with all of her storytellers to help them tell a better story. And she really improved mine. Anyway, the reason I wanted to mention it is because she just started a tour. She just did Seattle. She's going to a bunch of other cities, and we'll provide a link to her site, bodystorytelling.com, where you can find out more. But also because her podcast is fairly new, and I thought some of you might be interested in it since I know you're already podcast listeners. I'll provide a link to it in the show notes. It is those stories told live. She generally does one story per episode. She includes some music. She always puts in something personal about herself. And frankly, it is really well produced. I listened to it and I'm like, I got to step up my game. Like hers is really, really good, you know?
You know, Elle just told me that she really liked listening to Dixie's show because it felt like Dixie was talking to her individually.
Yes.
She was like, you two sound like you're talking to the audience in general, which is fine. It's okay. But when I listen to Dixie, I feel like Dixie is talking to me.
And I have to admit, I overheard that, which is why I thought this would be a good time to throw this in. Also, because we just attended the kickoff of her tour in Seattle a couple days ago. I feel like on Dixie's podcast, when she's speaking, she is speaking very personally. I feel like I'm sitting down and actually talking to her, which is kind of the idea behind podcasting. Also wanted to point out that she just recently started a Facebook group for the fans of body, which I will provide a link to in the show notes. And it's a wonderful place for people to get together and just sort of be sex positive. And it's a very nice, safe space that even if you haven't told a story and may not tell a story, it's just a fun space to be in.
Yes, go check out Dixie and her work. Good stuff.
Our first Poly in the News article, my first reaction to it was, them's fighting words.
That's funny.
There's an article in a magazine, Cascadia, claiming that the center of Pacific Northwest polyamory is, Portland?
That's what they say.
Fuck. Everybody knows it's Seattle.
Whatevs.
I mean, Portland is which Seattle, I don't know. I don't know the end of that sentence, but.
But whatever it is, it's meaningful.
But whatever it is.
You're a wiki.
Seattle's better. No, I love Portland. I really do. And I love to go visit there. And Portland does have a lot of non-monogamous and polyamorous in it too.
We're going to be down there soon, actually.
We are going to be down there in November, which is coming up pretty quickly. Yeah.
So be careful what you say about Portland.
I just said I love Portland. The article itself will provide a link in the show notes at polyweekly.com or in the show notes section of whatever podcatcher or app you are using to listen to your podcast. So warning, it is couple-centric. It does have an awful lot of white folks in it, and it really is kind of a poly 101. So this is from a discussion on Reddit. A friend who lives in Portland says you can't swing a dead cat without hitting part of a triad there.
Ow!
As someone that lives in Portland, we frown on swinging dead cats because it's not very vegan friendly, but otherwise the statement is true. The 2018 sex survey by the Portland Mercury reports 13% of respondents identify as non-monogamous, whereas 38% say they consider themselves monogamish. Now, I'll point out that an earlier stat that was cited and is cited elsewhere, hold on. Anyway, here we go. Around 5% of the population identify primarily as non-monogamous, as cited in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy. So that is higher than average. Now, I want to know, does Seattle do a sex survey? And if so, can I participate in it so we can compete with Portland?
That's so funny. Where you're like, them's fighting words. I looked at it and I was like, whatever, clickbait, don't care. Is there any content here in the article I care about? Not really. The little bit that you pulled out. For the most part, for me, that article was pretty much a nothing burger. A little bit of, it's kind of like a travel log for poly Portland people, right? Poly exists here. You're welcome here. Here's somebody who's poly that you can learn about because they're in Portland and I don't give a shit. I'm so old and grumpy. You know what? It doesn't matter to me. There was that, whatever.
You've definitely earned your grumpy old man badge today.
I totally have. Get off my lawn, you kids. And then what the fuck? Center of poly? Like you could even measure a center of poly.
If Seattle did a survey of a sex survey, then we probably could.
Peh.
I like data.
I scoff. Every urban center is a center of poly because that's where all the poly people go to get out of the less accepting non-urban areas.
That is true. You are more likely to find a higher percentage of folks who would self-identify freely as non-monogamous, poly, or something like that when you're in any type of major city.
Yep.
The only other thing I wanted to point out was a pull quote, which Alan also pulled out, which was, "It's easier to learn from others' mistakes." Parentheses, when you're in the center of polyamory in the Northwest. We're finally getting a feel for what works and what doesn't. A lot of mistakes will be made along the way if you don't engage with a community, which I heartily agree with and say all the time.
And I will say a lot of mistakes will be made if you engage in a community. Mistakes are going to be made.
That's true, but it is helpful to engage with the community so you can temper your responses.
Well, yes,
it's helpful to know that other people also went through this, and here's 3 things that they did, and you can pick which one works best for you instead of spending a few weeks thinking. This is the part where I say, hey, if you have questions, comments, or feedback on anything we just said, or say later in the episode, Feel free to call us at 802-505-POLY and leave us a voicemail under 3 minutes. Or you can email polyweekly@gmail.com and attach an MP3 file with your questions. If you'd like to book us to speak, pitch us to appear on the show, or anything that involves a calendar, please email lustyguy@polyweekly.com. And this is where I shake my finger and said, some of you are emailing polyweekly@gmail, addressing it to lustyguy, and it's about something that requires a calendar. He's not going to see it that way.
Yeah, I don't look at that email.
Unless I check in and see it and forward it to him, which is a 50-50 chance in any given month. So, lustyguy@polyweekly.com. Our listener letter and question this week are from Emily. She and her fiancé have been together for 8 years, just got engaged with plans to marry in 2 years. Emily writes, she, her fiancé, has always been more attracted to men, but that's never been a problem for us until now. She's going through some major life changes and has discovered that she now identifies as straight. She no longer wants to have sex with me simply because I'm a woman. I know this type of identity change is common, but I'm having trouble figuring out exactly what it means for me. We're still very much in love, and she wants to marry me regardless of sex. However, we are both very sexual people, and sex has been a big part of our relationship. I'm worried because I still very much want to have sex with her, and I have a lot of fears about feelings this will bring up for me. Luckily, we're polyamorous, so this is in no way means the end of my sex life. I feel that my love for her is unconditional and I should be able to get through anything. However, I'm really struggling with this identity change. I don't know exactly what my question is, just that I'm feeling very lost. So I have to start by apologizing to Emily for the title of the episode, which was, Should I Still Marry My Now Straight Partner? Which she doesn't actually ask in this, but...
The headline reader got a hold.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a
say.
BuzzFeedy headline, so I apologize for that. And the other thing I want to start out by saying to Emily is, I'm so sorry you're going through this. This would be really challenging for anyone to handle. We all want to be loved and appreciated for who we are, regardless of what our orientation is or what we look like. And it's really hard to deal with something like this, even if we understand logically that it's about the other person's identity and not about who we are or how good the sex is coming from us, or anything like that. I kind of want to hand it over to you now, lustyguy, even though I haven't actually said anything that would help.
Sure, I'll take the first crack, and then you can speak second and look smart. Because the key to looking smart is speaking
Yeah, you
second.
go first. You help Emily. I'm just going to sit here and pet the cat.
All right, sounds good. So, Emily, the first thing I want to say is my heart really goes out to you.
Yeah.
This is a big hit to somebody that we have had a very strong sexual relationship with, that we were considering marriage with what that means in terms of a co-entanglement in life, to then hear, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. In fact, I don't want to have sex with any of your gender anymore. That is a big hit. And you have every right to be confused, to not really know what exactly your question is. Right now, your ears are ringing. And what do I mean by that? Well, anybody who's ever been hit in the head knows what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. If you've been hit in the head, you get a solid shot in the head. You don't know you've been hit for a couple of moments. You can even lose awareness. And the first thing that comes back to me is the awareness that my ears are ringing. So an emotional solid hit leaves us stunned in that same way. And it takes us a little while to realize that we've been hit and to know that our ears are ringing and what that means in that context. So first of all, I just want to say again, my heart goes out to you. Your ears are ringing. You had every right to be so. I'm going to challenge something you said. When you said you felt like your love should be unconditional and you should get through anything. As an adult child of an abusive parent, I am here to tell you that in my opinion, the notion of unconditional love is fucked up. That way, abuse lies. Now, in as much as we're going to say that love is the treating of somebody well when it's difficult, and in the face of abuse, it can be hard to treat someone well, to end contact if that's what has to happen, to call the police if that's what has to happen, and to only do that and do no more. Now, if we're going to kind of squeeze the definition that way, we can say that you're still loving somebody while you are getting them the fuck out of your life because of the damage they are doing to you. If you're going to take the definition that way, I'm not going to argue with you. But I am going to say the idea that you can get through anything and continue to interact with anybody and love them unconditionally can be very dangerous and can lead to some very bad places. So I'm going to invite you to question that a little bit, to realize that the purpose of a relationship is to make everybody involved a better version of themselves. That's the purpose. And if that's not happening and you can't change it so that it is not a virtue to unconditionally love someone and stay in that negative situation. Okay. Now, having said that, it could sound like I'm telling you to leave this person, and I'm not. I don't know. I respect your decision. You know you better than anybody else. What I am going to suggest is that you take a trial run. You said that it's 2 years out. You guys are talking about getting married. I think that's a great idea. Take some time. Do a trial run. Slowly enhance your entanglements so that you can discover what it is marriage might look like without sex with this person. You guys have the opportunity to craft the relationship that works for you. So grab some hammers and start crafting, but go slow and go with respect and love for you, which is to say you're going to take care of you through the course of this. Okay. I would also say, again, turn into every feeling. You say you're feeling afraid. What are you afraid of? And then what? And then what's going to happen? And in that way, turn into your libido. Is what you're looking for sex and orgasm with anybody? Or is what you're looking for sex with this partner?
Exactly. I'm sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that sex does for me and for other people, but not necessarily for everybody, sex enhances connection for me. Lustyguy and I do all kinds of things together, but if we don't have sex on X level of frequency, then I'll start sniping. I get tense. Things just go poorly and we know that we need to have sex, at least X often in order to keep things good. It's how I connect with him. Now that's not true for everybody, and it may not be true for you, but that's the question. If you get sex elsewhere and not from your fiancé, are you still going to be able to stay connected? What function does sex serve for you, basically?
Exactly. And that's that question filtered through Minx's experience, right?
Yeah.
Your experience might be different. The commonality is if what you're looking for is sex with your partner, having sex with somebody else may not help.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got some time, craft and experiment and learn. And I'm also going to say, man, you deserve a treat. You deserve some really nice numminess right now. So I don't know what it is. Like if it was me, of course, it would probably be something physical or sexual in nature, right? Get yourself down to a really nice lesbian bathhouse or something, right? And just go wild for a day. Or sit down and binge watch your favorite TV show. Go out with friends that your fiancé doesn't like. Do something that puts you first and just lets you have a good time. I don't mean go crazy and drunk and get, pulled over and shit like that. Nothing that's going to be harmful for you in the long run. But find something that's going to let you feel good and let you feel treated. Let you feel like you got to be a special princess or whatever it is to you to be treated. Because you deserve a little goodness right now. So basically, in a nutshell, put yourself first. You have every right to feel exactly how you're going to feel. You have a lot of introspection and experimentation to do. So start doing both. To hell with unconditional love. Right? Just really to hell with it. Turn into every feeling as part of that introspection and give yourself some brownies right now, some cookies. You deserve them. I hope that's helpful, and write back and tell us how it goes.
And by brownies, that means whatever self-care is to you. And I agree. I love making you go first because now I can just sit back and say, yeah, that was all smart. The only thing I'd add is that when you're taking that time to craft your relationship, it might be helpful. You say you're supposed to get married in 2 years. Maybe you want to make that tentative. Maybe you want to make it 3. Or, I'm a project planner. So I'm thinking you might want to say, okay, let's revisit in 6 months, in 12 months, and in 18 months and see if it's a go, no go, or if we're going to reshape this relationship to look like something else. Because if every time you're talking with your partner or every time you're dealing with your relationship, the question is looming, will we get married? It's just going to drive everybody up a wall. Your things won't be productive. So I say table that discussion, but look at it maybe every 6 months or so, see where you are, and then decide what the go, no go date is. So you're not constantly dealing with that stress. Do you have advice for Emily that we didn't quite cover? Feel free to leave a comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/polyweekly, or you can ping us on Twitter at polyweekly or at cunningminx. We do love retweets, and we love when you share our content on Facebook and on Twitter.
It's time for your Happy Poly Moment of the Week, brought to you by Fubbly polyamorists everywhere.
And today's writer for our Happy Poly Moment writes, "Hi, love your show. I wanted to share my Happy Poly Moment with you. This is the first time I have been in relationships with people who did not already know each other. I am in 2 long-distance relationships, and we all live in different countries." Yowza, by the way.
Countries.
Yeah, and well, maybe who knows? Maybe they're in Europe.
Maybe they're in Europe, and it's like, Luxembourg, Belgium, France.
Let's hope, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, my partner, A, asked if she could meet my partner, L. I asked L if he was interested in meeting A, and he said yes. I set up a 3-way DM on Discord, and it was immediately apparent that they would be good friends. I felt so warm and fuzzy seeing the 2 people I love hit it off so fast. Longtime fan, first-time writer, in.
I love that our HPM is tech-assisted.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. This week's feedback is from SLT, who's writing about episode 519, Can I Be Introverted and Poly? To start off, I'm a young cisgender woman, she, her, hers pronouns please, in the St. Louis area. I'm fairly new to listening to the show and have been listening to back episodes in my free time. On episode 519, the issue of poly-friendly housing came up, and I figured we'd share the solution that our awkward situation, what we call our family polycule, came up with. My boyfriend and his wife were about to move farther away from my current house, but significantly closer to my work, and they invited my fiancé, he, him, his, and me to join them. In the process of home buying, we had to find one that would fit us all. The 2 solutions we looked at were homes with a mother-in-law suite, which, if you're not aware, back apartment attached to the house, and duplexes. We settled on a converted duplex, 2 houses smashed together, that has room for all of us, our pets, and our future children. This way, my boyfriend and his wife have a room, my fiancé and I have a room, and my boyfriend and I have a room. We are very happy with the solution that we found and saw there were actually a lot of duplexes on the market in our area. Thanks and love the show.
How cool that you guys found that solution and have the ability to do it.
Well, that about wraps it up for today's show. I want to give a special shout out to our polyweekly playmates for their generous donations this month. We are a free resource. We've helped hundreds of thousands of people navigate their introduction to and continued success with polyamory. Your donations and your questions and comments keep the podcast free and awesome for everybody, both inside and outside the community. So with that, I think we're going to sign off. Thanks for listening. And remember, it's not all about the sex.